Hi everybody, this is Noelle from Petitti Garden Centers, and we are doing what's in store for October. And now is really the time to plant trees and shrubs, especially. So we're in the nursery here at Oakwood Village, and we're looking at all the tree species. And this is just a great time of year to do that. Again, soil is very warm, roots will establish very quickly, air temperature is cooling. Right now it's actually really nice out, but cooling air temperature will help de-stress the plants so they develop a lot better, and also more rainfall. We usually get increased rainfall in the autumn time, so hopefully that'll continue so we don't have to irrigate as often. But check out some of our native species. We have some beautiful river birch. You can't beat this peeling bark for that winter interest. And look at that color. It's like a peachy cream color underneath that dark kind of burgundy gray bark. It's so pretty. Of course, the fall color hasn't come on with them yet. It's usually a bright golden color. On the other side, we have the heart-shaped leaf. So whenever you see a heart-shaped leaf like this, it's going to be a redbud. And we've talked about redbuds before. We've done a spotlight on them. But again, true native, great tree to grow in northeastern Ohio. They don't get too big. I think that's what everybody likes about them. And I should mention, river birch can get like 40 foot tall. So it's not one of those trees that you want to plant close to your home. You really want to bring it out into the landscape. But redbuds, on the other hand, they can be planted a little bit closer. I'd still give them a good 10 foot away from the house. But again, upright, kind of rounded canopies for the upright varieties. And then you have very, very nice sort of compact weeping varieties as well. So that's always a great one. I love the flowering plums. You can always identify flowering plums. They are purple all through the season, typically have a white flower in spring, beautiful, deep, deep purple foliage through the summertime. And then, of course, you get a little bit of a change in autumn where it turns like a burnt orange. You get that rusted orange. Really, really cool. So this is all thundercloud. So thundercloud, again, good 20, 25, 30 foot at times. Nice development on the canopy, okay? Over here, plenty of weeping cherries. So again, any of your weeping habits, your weeping trees, they're always going to be nice to just add like a focal point, really pretty habit to look at year round, of course. And in the winter, when they're covered with snow, those weeping branches are really pretty too. So always think about that. But your weeping cherries here, all through this area. And then I wanted to kind of show you this, and Taylor's going to kind of zoom in a little bit. But we have this really cool columnar sweet gum right there, okay? And it's so neat. The sweet gum trees, and they're not showing color. They're usually one of the last to show color, but they will turn all different shades of those autumn colors that you love. So they will turn gold, orange, red, and burgundy. They're just a great tree for that, but a very, very thin columnar habit. So that's nice if you just need, like a street tree or, something in a smaller space and you don't want the huge branches of the canopy coming over. Okay, we're going to show you a few more. So this is Metasequoia Amber Glow. And the metasequoias are one of those kind of specialized trees that are, they look like an evergreen, but they will lose their needles, okay? So other name would be dawn redwood, all right? So beautiful, deep, deep brown, reddish brown bark. And then look at these needles when they come out, that new growth has that beautiful chartreusey yellow color. Really cool, big tree, okay? Probably around 35, 40 foot mark. Again, So just give it some space, but really impressive out in the landscape. So if you kind of need instant color in the landscape and you need ideas of what you can plant right now, this would be a great, I love this combination here. So we've got about 6 different varieties of plants. You could, intermingle, change out what you like and what you don't like. But we start out with a nice short evergreen. This is Boxwood Sprinter. Boxwood Sprinter, it gets its name because it's fairly vigorous as far as growing, pushing on new growth. It's still a compact boxwood, don't get me wrong, 2 to 4 foot tall and wide, but really nice. You can tell all that new growth that's coming off that plant. It's a really, really strong grower. Right next to it is going to be Barberry SUNJOY TODO. About 1.5 to 2 foot tall and wide, nice deep purple burgundy color all the way through that plant. Of course, very deer resistant, both of these, so we like them in the landscape for us. Knockout Rose, just a classic double knockout, is right next door. Really bright, beautiful color, combining the purple and that bright cherry red. Boy, I love it. And then if you need something a little bit taller in the background as an evergreen, you can use Gembox. So Gembox is a Nordic holly, or what we call an inkberry holly. So it'll produce those little blue berries on it. The foliage is very, I would say, finer with the Strongbox Gembox series from PW. So it's got very thin broadleaf evergreen foliage, but it's really nice. Stays nice and compact, very, very full. Right behind it, all of these beautiful pink and white blossoms are sort of that lace cap panicle, if you will. That's distinctive of Pinky Winky. So we know Pinky Winky, it's one of the older but really well-loved panicle hydrangeas. Pinky Winky does not stay this little, just so you guys know. It's going to be a good 6 to 8 foot tall, nice big panicle hydrangea. So again, nice backdrop plant. Sometimes for a kind of a tall hedge too, you could use it. And then the hydrangea tree just beyond is Phantom. And Phantom is sort of a classic panicle variety. Very, very large, full panicles on that one. Phantom is going to be right around 8 foot tall, the shrub version. So when you put it on a standard tree that, let's say, is about 5 foot tall, then add that 8 foot on top of there, you have a nice 13 foot tree. So again, great ornamental color and just great color for fall. So we had to show you one of the new panicle hydrangeas from Proven Winners. This is Quick Fire Fab. It just came out for us this fall. It is fantastic. It's absolutely gorgeous. What we like about Quick Fire Fab is it still is a large panicle hydrangea. So it's going to be a shrub type. It's going to grow up. It is going to be more of a narrow oval than Quick Fire is. Now, I will tell you, this is supposed to be the earliest blooming, so the earliest panicle hydrangea to bloom and color up with that nice pinky red sheen to it. The other thing that is really interesting about it is because of that sort of more narrow habit, it'll grow to 6 to 8 foot, just like Quick Fire will, but it tends to stay very, very strong and upright. It's a little bit more narrow, about 5 to 6 foot wide. So not as open, I should say. So needless to say, just check out this beautiful panicle of really large sterile flowers there, and you'll see why you'll love Quick Fire Fab too. October is time for ornamental grasses, and so they really are looking phenomenal right now. I'm standing by a nice variegated, kind of shorter variegated variety. This is called Overdam. Overdam is in the Calamagrostis or feather reed grass family. So actually the plumes have already come up on this grass. They're very, very weedy colored when they come up in sort of a nice columnar form, like a spike form. But really great kind of shorter grass, maybe about 2.5 foot tall. But if you need some variegated color, this would be a nice one. Very, very easy to grow and establish. just an earlier bloomer, the Calamagrostis family is. And then this is Little Bunny right here. Little Bunny has those cute little tassels. So this is in the Pennisetum family. So you'll see annual types of Pennisetum, like Pennisetum rubrum, which is that burgundy red annual grass that you'll see people grow. And then Little Bunny is going to be a very compact clump here, usually about 12 inches tall, the grasses, and then the flowers come maybe another 6 to 8 inches above that as far as the floral florets here. But beautiful little bottle brush flowers. Right behind it, really pretty, this is Hot Rod. Hot Rod is what we call a switchgrass or panicum. You see those really pretty seed heads on top. They're very airy panicles. And then look at Hot Rod, nice and sort of bluish green, but develops color very low, carrying it all the way up through those foliage, parts. But I will say this one is going to be on the shorter side. So some of your switch grasses are like 3 to 4 foot, 3 with the foliage and then 4 with the flowering. Okay, so just make sure you're reading your tags when you're looking at grasses. Over here, I wanted to show you, this is one of our favorites, and it's just starting to color up for us. Of course, cooler it gets, the more color you're going to see. But this is what we call flame grass or Miscanthus purpurescens. You always know Miscanthus because of the whisk type seed head that they produce, okay? And with flame grass, you start to see those stems really color up first, and then the foliage starts to fill out and it turns yellow and like a glowing orange. They're so pretty when they're in full color. So it's going to get there. It's just not there yet. So Miscanthus purpurescens. And then we were going to go over here and look at Gracilis here. This is still one of my favorite Miscanthus grasses. It will produce a whisk-like flower, or seed head, I should say, but it comes much later than most. So you have, you have this beautiful thin leaf grass, gorgeous, gorgeous mound, usually grows about 4 to 5 foot in the landscape. And then of course you're going to have the flowering seed heads above it when they develop. But it's a fine leafed grass. So it really looks beautiful in the landscape wherever you want to stick it, as long as they're in the sun. So October is a great time to think about your birds, our feathered friends out there. And as we're transitioning into the fall season, we have had some bird issues this season for sure, but now birding is safe if you want to go ahead and fill your feeders up. We really started like the second week in September starting to do that. Make sure that you keep your feeders clean. Cleaning once every 2 weeks is really, really good idea. As the birds, of course, feed down that food and it's emptied out, go ahead and really dip them in a 10% bleach solution, let them air dry, fill them up and hang them back up. That's the best thing that you can do. October, we can start using the suet as well. When we get those cooler temperatures, of course, the suet cakes always do very, very nicely for our feathered friends too. So don't forget about the birds this fall. We're indoors, and of course, October is the time of the month or the time of the year that we should transition our houseplants inside. It's usually around mid to end of the month, but just keep your eyes on the temperatures out there. Typically when temperatures fall below, let's say about 45 degrees, start thinking about bringing houseplants indoors, okay? And so we've got some beautiful new varieties. I've got a lot of different ferns here. If you keep the house a little bit warmer, keep higher humidity or spray mist, you will do very, very well with the ferns. And of course, most of the ferns are non-toxic, really great for pets and people, really good air purifiers as well. So lots to look at here. I love silver lace, beautiful white centers on these fronds, really, really pretty. This is tricolor with this beautiful burgundy kind of midrib, if you will, as well. Autumn fern here. So we always like the autumn ferns, give us that coppery color, especially on new foliage. And this is actually a holly fern, a type of holly fern there. So it has a little bit thicker foliage to it, real waxy. So holly ferns can take a little bit more dry comparatively to some of the other ferns that have real thin fronds. And I wanted to show you this other one. This is a Hawaiian fern. Check out the foliage on this, just real thick, really beautiful, lobed fronds there. So that's gorgeous. I mean, all the different ferns, they are available out there. Bright light to medium indirect light. You don't need direct lighting on these, of course. They are a shade plant. And again, just keep that humidity high around them. So spray misting or placing on a humidity tray, which is basically just a saucer or a drip tray, the little bit of rockery or pebbles at the bottom, fill that with water and let that naturally evaporate in the home. It's great for you. It's great for the plants as well. Now, I wanted to tell you about this one up here. This is an autograph tree. It's called Clusia Princess. And they kind of look like a rubber plant, if you will. Very, very similar. They can take some brighter light than the rubber plant. So you can put this in direct sun to probably a bright indirect light window, okay? Make sure that it stays well lit. And there's a lot of waxy on their cuticle layer here. So it's very, very waxy. And where they get their name is, you could actually carve your name into these leaves and they would be fine. I really like this plant. I think that even moisture to slightly dry conditions for it is probably best. And just keep an eye on, I think the light is really key here for these guys to do really well. So that really, really bright light condition is going to be best for them. I wanted to show you some of the cool ficus that we have. So ficus are the fig family, if you will. These are all ornamental houseplants, so they don't produce the fruit. But there are so many different varieties. Oh my gosh. You have columnar upright varieties. You have what we call a weeping fig or Ficus benjamina. There's Golden King with beautiful golden margins. There's Samantha that's got kind of a sort of a more thicker mottled margin, really, really beautiful. They make great plants for kind of medium indirect light. They don't need bright direct light at all. Bright indirect is okay. Medium indirect is really the best for them. And depending if you like the weeping ficus or you like the rubber trees, which are really, really easy to take care of, there's a ficus for you. So these rubber trees, I'm going to show you the pinker variegated variety is Belize. And then there is actually a whiter variegated variety. This one's called Tinky or Tinky, however you like to say it. This very, very dark color is Abidjan. Just gorgeous, dark, almost like a black color there, greenish black. And then I'm holding Triangularis, which I think is just, has the coolest variegation. It's really, really bushy, but kind of has sort of a, I don't know, like a ginkgo leaf to it. It's just really, really cool foliage, but so many different ficus. And I think just depending on if you have that medium indirect lighting in your home and kind of can keep plants evenly moist to slightly dry, I think you would have wonderful success with the ficus. Just a reminder that, have a great October. Plant. It's an awesome time to plant in the fall, especially your trees and shrubs, your perennials in early October. Don't forget to bring your house plants inside this month, usually later this month, and just enjoy the fall season. Pumpkins, mums, oh my gosh, so many different, pansies and violas too. So really, really enjoy your fall.